Hello my friends, welcome back. Today we talk about a man who failed again and again. He lost elections. He made terrible mistakes. Some called him finished. But he never stopped. Not once. Have you ever felt like giving up? Have you ever been told you were not good enough? This man heard that his whole life. And he proved them wrong. This is the story of Winston Churchill. If you love stories like this, stories about courage and never giving up, join our family here. Just tap subscribe. It helps us keep telling these stories for you. Now, let us go back to the beginning. Winston Churchill was born in 1874. He was born in England, in a grand house called Blenheim Palace. His family was noble. His father was a politician. His mother was American, bold and clever. But young Winston was not a golden child. He struggled in school. He stammered when he spoke. His father barely noticed him. His mother was often away. He felt alone. He felt unwanted. He felt small. Many great men start this way. Forgotten. Overlooked. Doubted. Winston was no different. He was not the smartest boy in class. He was not the strongest either. But he had something else. He had will. He had fire. He had stubborn, quiet courage. As a boy, he loved toy soldiers. He lined them up for hours. He dreamed of battles and glory. His father once looked at these soldiers. He asked if Winston could join the army. It was not said with pride. It was said because nothing else seemed to fit him. So young Winston went to military school. He failed the entrance exam twice. Twice, my friends. Not once. But he did not quit. He tried again. And on the third try, he passed. This would become the pattern of his whole life. Fail. Rise. Try again. He did not know it yet, but this pattern would one day save his entire nation. Winston Churchill became a soldier. Then he became a writer. Then he became a politician. He moved fast. He wanted more. He always wanted more. By his 20s, he was already famous. He fought in wars. He escaped a prison camp in South Africa. Newspapers loved him. By his 30s, he was in government. Powerful men listened to him. But Winston made a huge mistake. In 1915, during the First World War, he pushed for an attack. It was called Gallipoli. The plan failed badly. Thousands of soldiers died. People blamed Winston. They blamed him loudly. He lost his position. He lost his power. He lost his good name. Picture this moment, my friends. A proud man, sitting alone in a quiet room. Medals in a drawer. Newspapers calling him a failure. His hands still shaking from the guilt of dead soldiers under his command. Many men would have stopped there. Many men would have hidden forever. Winston did not hide. He went to fight in the trenches himself. He led soldiers on the front line. He faced the same danger he had sent others into. Slowly, painfully, he rebuilt his name. Years passed. He returned to politics. He rose again. He fell again. By the 1930s, most people saw him as finished. Old news. Yesterday's man. He warned about a new danger. A man named Adolf Hitler was rising in Germany. Winston warned Parliament again and again. Nobody listened. They mocked him. They called him a warmonger. They called him obsessed. But Winston kept warning them. Kept insisting. Kept refusing to stay silent. Courage does not always look like winning, my friends. Sometimes courage looks like speaking alone, while everyone laughs at you. Then, In 1939, war came. Just as Winston said it would. Suddenly, the man everyone had dismissed looked very different. Britain needed someone strong. Someone unshaken. Someone who had never stopped fighting, even when everyone told him to. He did not know it yet, but his darkest years were about to become his finest hour. In May 1940, everything changed. Winston Churchill became Prime Minister of Britain. The timing was terrible. France was falling. Hitler's army was unstoppable. Nazi tanks rolled across Europe. Britain stood almost alone. Some leaders wanted peace talks with Hitler. They wanted to surrender terms. They wanted safety, at any cost. Winston said no. He stood before Parliament. His voice was firm. His words were simple. He promised only blood, toil, tears, and sweat. No comfort. No easy hope. Just truth. Then came the real test. German bombers filled the skies. Cities burned. London burned. Night after night, bombs fell. Families hid in underground stations. Children lost their homes. Some lost their lives. This was called the Blitz. Imagine standing on a rooftop in London, smoke rising for miles, sirens screaming through the dark, and still choosing to stay. Winston did stay. He walked through bombed streets. He visited survivors. He looked ordinary people in the eye. He did not hide in comfort while others suffered. His words went out on the radio. Millions listened, huddled by candlelight. He did not promise an easy victory. He promised they would never surrender. Never surrender in the fields. Never surrender in the streets. Never surrender in the hills. These were not just words, my friends. This was a nation's spirit, given a voice. Some historians say his speeches alone changed the war's mood. Others say military decisions mattered more. Most agree both were needed. Bombs kept falling. Losses kept mounting. For months, survival was not certain. Defeat felt close, some nights closer than victory. But Britain held on. Slowly, Allies joined the fight. America entered. The tide began to turn. Winston Churchill, once called finished, was now leading his country through its darkest hour. He did not know it yet, but history was already writing his name beside the word courage. The war ended in 1945. Nazi Germany was defeated. Winston Churchill had helped lead his nation through its darkest years. But history is never simple, my friends. Just weeks after victory, British voters chose a new leader. Not Winston. The man who saved Britain was voted out of power. It shocked the world. It shocked Winston too. But he did not collapse. He did not disappear. He kept writing. He kept speaking. Years later, he became Prime Minister again. This was the pattern of his whole life, my friends. Fail. Rise. Fall. Rise again. Winston Churchill died in 1965. He was 90 years old. Millions lined the streets of London for his funeral. Kings, presidents, and ordinary people came to say goodbye. Today, historians still debate him. Some praise his leadership. Others criticize choices he made in the empire and in war. History remembers him as complicated, not perfect. But one thing is not debated. When Britain needed courage most, Winston gave it courage. So what can we learn from this man, my friends? He failed his exams. He failed as a young leader. He was mocked. He was dismissed. He was voted out, even after saving his country. And still, he kept going. Maybe you feel like Winston did, back in that quiet room after Gallipoli. Maybe you feel forgotten. Maybe you feel like you failed too many times. Listen to me, my friends. Your failures are not your final chapter. They are just chapters. Winston Churchill teaches us this. Courage is not the absence of fear or failure. Courage is standing up again, one more time than you fall. If this story moved you, give it a like. It truly helps this channel grow. And if you have not yet joined our family, hit that subscribe button now. Tell me in the comments, my friends. Which story from history should we tell next? Until next time, my friends. Keep learning. Keep rising. Keep believing in your own finest hour.